Hello friends! So, today I will tell you a fascinating story. Not about ghosts, not about monsters, not about wisdom. About the story of the Chandragupta Maurya, the most powerful king in the history. Introduction and historical set. The story of the Chandragupta Maurya 340 to 279 to 297 BCE is the story of the remarkable rise from obscurity in a time of political chaos after Alexander's Eastern campaign to becoming the founder of the Maurya Empire, first state to unify the most Indian subcontinent under one centralized administration. His life marks the shift small regional kingdoms and Macedonian satellite satrapies towards the first truly pan-Indian imperial formation. Origin and early EU. Accounts of Chandragupta's birth and background vary in ancient texts. Some later Brahmanical chronicles portray him as a low-born youth who vowed by virtue and cunning. Buddhist and Jain traditions provide different emphasis. Buddhist texts give Patliputra, that is the modern Patna, associations. Jain accounts emphasize ascetic tendency later in life. Modern history generally is that the precise details of his parentage are uncertain. What is clear the context? Alexander's local polity into this period stepped Chandragupta, aided by a master strategist and teacher widely known as a Chanakya, also called Kautilya or Vishnugupta. The partnership of Chandragupta and Chanakya. The partnership of Chandragupta and Chanakya is central to the traditional narrative. Chanakya, a teacher and political theorist traditionally associated with Taxila, is said to have mentored Chandragupta, providing strategic counsel, raised funds and masterminded the overthrow of the Nanda dynasty, the ruling house in Magad, whose last ruler is actually known as Dhanananda. Whether the Arthashastra, an ancient treatise of statecraft long attributed to Chanakya, was actually produced in that immediate era remains debated among scholars. Nevertheless, the idea of a disciplined administrative program and centralized oversight under Chanakya fits how later sources describe the early Mauryan seizure of Magad and foundation of the Maurya Empire. Around 321 BC, Chandragupta and his forces moved against the Nanda rulers and captured Patliputra, modern Patna, the ancient city and capital of Magad, bringing a large and fertile region under their control. From this power base, the Maurya polity rapidly expanded. Chandragupta consolidated control by creating a bureaucratic apparatus, regional governors, taxation systems, and military settlement. Grace over man. Writers of later centuries, summarizing our lost early account, describe Chandragupta as the energetic founder who gathered a large army from across north. Modern historians combine these classical accounts with Indian religious chronicles and epigraphic evidence to reconstruct the expansion of his rule. Confrontation with the Hellenistic world. Seleucus I. One of the most famous episodes is Chandragupta's confrontation and subsequent Scythian settlement was Seleucus I Nicator, a Macedonian diadoch who controlled territories west of the Indus after Alexander's death around 305 to 303 BCE. There was a military contact between the two powers. Ancient accounts suggest an agreement. Seleucus ceded substantial eastern satrapy regions in the northwest, such as Gandhara and parts of what is today Afghanistan/Pakistan, to Chandragupta in exchange for 500 royal elephants and a marriage alliance for some sort. Following the treaty, the Greek ambassador Megasthenes was posted to Chandragupta's court in Patliputra, providing the Greeks with ethnographic information about India and the Mauryan administration. This diplomatic settlement established peaceful relations between the Maurya state and the Hellenistic world and secured the empire's northwestern frontier. Administration, economy and statecraft. Chandragupta, advised by Chanakya, transformed a collection of conquered lands into a governed empire. Sources describe a structured administration, council of ministers, amatya, provincial governors, a standing army, extensive revenue systems and infrastructure projects, roads, irrigation. Why the Arthasastra's exact date and its direct attribution to Chanakya remain debated. Many of its bureaucratic precipitation echoed the administrative complexity. Historians associated early Mauryan governance. Economically, the Mauryan state benefited from agriculture, mining, trade routes across land and sea, and control of strategic knowledge, all of which allowed state expenditure on armies and public works. Expansion southwards and consolidation. Chandragupta's control extended beyond the Indo-Gangetic plan. Ancient sources, including later historians, suggest campaigns in the Deccan, central and southern India, though the timing and precise extent of these sudden conquests are debated. Some attribute much of the sudden expansion to Chandragupta himself, others to his son Bindusara. What is clear is that by the time of his grandson Ashoka, 268 BCE, Mauryan rule encompassed large part of the subcontinent, indicating substantial territorial consolidation in the Chandragupta Bindusara generation. Family and succession. Chandragupta's principal wife in traditional accounts is called Udayadhara. Their son Bindusara succeeded Chandragupta and ruled until the accession of Ashoka, Bindusara's son. Greek sources and later Indian chronicles mention an intermarriage or at least close diplomatic ties with Hellenistic lines. After the Seleucid settlement, the Mauryan line continued for several generations, culminating later in the region of Ashoka, whose inscriptions, policies, and empire left a robust historical record. The Maurya dynasty persisted until the assassination of the last Mauryan king, Brihadrata in 185 BCE, after which the empire fragmented, new power arose. Renunciation and death. Accounts differ on Chandragupta's end. Jain tradition, recorded centuries later, says that Chandragupta renounced the throne in later life, became a Jain monk under the guidance of Bhadrabahu, and died by Salekhana, ritual fasting to death at Sharavana Gola in present-day Karnataka. Buddhist and Brahminical texts give different ending. Many modern historians accept the Jain tradition and plausible, though not unanimously, concludes the image of a great founder voluntarily abandoning worldly power, turning to asceticism, is a recurrent theme in Indian biographical traditions and has influenced how later generations remember him. Legacy. Chandragupta's legacy is multiple. As a unifier and organizer of complex government and the progenitor of a dynasty that produced Ashoka, whose inscriptions and moral governance overshadowed much of subsequent Indian memory. The Mauryan state set precedents in centralized administration, imperial ideology, and inter-regional diplomacy with Hellenistic states and under neighbors. In modern India, Chandragupta is celebrated as a foundational figure in the subcontinent's political history. The Maurya family. The first is unknown or contested answer. Now, here comes the Chandragupta Maurya. 340 to 297 BCE. Now, he has wife Dhodara and a possible Hellenistic wife or alien. Now, his son is Bindusara. 297 to 273 BCE. Now, his son is Ashoka, who became the king, and other sons, Sisima and etc. Ashoka, 304 to 232 BCE. Ashoka's line. Many descendants, Ashoka's heirs, ruled brief life. Later Mauryan rulers. The last Mauryan king, Brihadrata, assassinated in 185 BCE. So, that is the end of the Maurya Chandragupta Maurya story.